Hi, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Nicky. I'm the Advice Operations Supervisor at Citizens Advice in Peterborough. So I manage and oversee the General Advice Service. I also lead on the Universal Credit Support Service that we run currently, and also lead on our research campaigns work. I will say, though, that the Universal Support Service that we're running now is the old service, the Personal Budgeting Support and the Assisted Digital Support, but I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a second. So the local picture, Peterborough has just short of over 200,000 people, and it is growing fast. We have a lot of EA nationals and migrant workers, but about 80% of the population is white British. We advise around 10,000 clients a year, but again, that's not just on one issue. We advise on about 26,000 issues on general inquiry areas, if you add them all up. So our work, just an overview. We started delivering personal budgeting support and assisted digital support about 3 years ago, advising clients that were under live service of Universal Credit. We became a full service for Universal Credit in November 2017. A year before we knew we were going live, we worked with local job centres and local stakeholders and created a vulnerable client hub with local partners. Now, every month, the hub meets to ensure that early interventions and preventions of issues are identified, discussed, and problems. So we discuss problems and we work together to find solutions. So this vulnerable client hub, if we see a client on any particular issue, we, with client's consent, of course, would raise that with the hub when we meet on a monthly basis. It has worked really well because any issues that we identify are stopped. So if an RSA or a job centre is giving information that isn't quite correct, or if we're in the same position, we can discuss, clarify situations, and help clients move forward very quickly. Now, our work at the job centre. Now, we only have one job centre in Peterborough, so it is quite a lot easier than in other areas, but we do have an advisor working out of our local job centre, which work coaches book directly into their calendar, so it makes it a lot easier for work coaches to refer to our service. Now, they primarily do PBS and ADS, but advice on all citizens advice inquiry areas. We've noticed that people that need personal budgeting support and assisted digital support quite often need advice on other areas as well. Now, our clients that we see at the job centre, the type of clients that are booked into our advisor at the job centre are shown here. On the next slide, they're shown. Now, as you can see, very few clients are over state pension age because it is only clients that we see at the job centre that are affected by Universal Credit. Half and half on disability, but of course 79% are white British, and actually the ethnicity generally reflects what it is like at Peterborough as a whole. So our clients, the common issues that we're seeing, and this is again just with our advice at the job centre and only those that we're advising on Universal Credit, is shown on this chart. While all our clients are seen on the job centre are claiming UC, they also need advice on other issues, as the pie chart previously shows, such as debt, employment and housing. Sorry, Devon, thank you. So moving on to the next slide, our work and the experience of Universal Credit. Now, due to clients needing advice on more than one issue, advice sessions are clearly going to get longer. That's really challenging because we have booked appointments at the job centre. We also have booked appointments at our other offices as well, and at our outreach centres. So it's really difficult trying to manage the client demand. So if a client comes into us, they've got an hour appointment, they've got 16 different issues. It's just trying to prioritise them and making sure they get an advice that's relevant to them, not necessarily what they want, but more focused on what they need. We also see clients that don't quite understand Universal Credit, and other support agencies, Job Centre Plus, RSLs, and the like, also don't seem to quite understand what the differences are, especially with the new SDP and the removal of the two-child limit that's just come in. So the Vulnerable Client Hub, again, has been really essential in just getting all the nitty-gritty bits out of the way, and opened a whole line of communication just across the board with all of our stakeholders. Everybody's here. Everybody's trying to work to help the clients, which is actually quite refreshing. Housing associations, job centres, and everybody else is all here for the client, and that's why this Vulnerable Client Hub is really beneficial, because we are all there just to make sure that the client gets the best result without our own self-interest. Now, to give you a case study, meet Joe. So I'm just going to skim through this. I know I'm talking really, really quickly, but I believe you're going to get copies of the webinar afterwards. So Joe, he's a single bloke. He is looking for work. He lives alone. In a single social housing property. He has debt. He came to us for personal budget support, was referred by his work coach, and he also has debt. Now, as an outcome, because regardless of the issues, there's always something that we can do. Now, we explained universal credit to Joe. He was given support accessing his journal. We gave him advice on UC, told him about budgeting, where he could cut costs and save. We also referred him to help with looking for work, aside from his work coach. We also supported him with debts and assisted him in applying for different grants, and told him what to do about the bailiffs that were coming and knocking at the door, and sent him to our in-house money advice team. Now, our work on universal credit is expanding. Universal credit is changing. We were able to help Joe with the aid of the policy and practice benefit calculator. We used the policy and practice benefit calculator to tell Joe exactly what universal credit payments he'll get, when he'll get them, and if he was to start work, how that would change. The universal credit has got an expert breakdown. You can also have PDF screenshot and do PDFs, which you can upload straight to Joe's journal. And it also gives us helpful tips on where people can save. It's got a income expenditure tool, so you pop in exactly. We can put in exactly what Joe's electricity costs, what his gas costs, what his mobile phone costs, and it could say whether that was above average for the local area and for Joe's situation, or if there's a better alternative. The team at Policy and Practice also, as you can see on the slide, the next slide, have a willingness to listen. We've sent quite a few different questions over to them in recent months, again, because of the complexity of UC. They've been helpful, and they've sent us great feedback and amended that tool if needed. So thank you very much for that, Devon.